Let me check. That's fine.
Is it time? Shall we start?
Test 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay. Test.
Good morning and welcome everybody to our first all-hands meeting. My name is Lutz. Before we start, let's get warmed up with a very personal challenge. I've been learning Russian for 4 weeks, and this meeting is all about communication. And so I thought it's a good idea to practice my Russian a little bit. So here's the challenge. So don't worry, it's going to be very short. Dobre утро, колеги. Меня зовут Lutz. Я отвечаю за коммуникацию в Autodoc. With me today is Christian. With me today Christian, Fred, Dima, Eugenie, Alex, Max, and Jessim. We are ready for your questions. It is all about communication, but communication is never a one-way street. We want to inform you, we want to give you an update, but we love to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your questions, your ideas, your comments, and your concerns. So don't be shy. Christian, the stage is yours. He will give a short introduction in Russian, he promised. So, and then we are ready for your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lutz, and welcome everybody. As it is our first time appearance as a team to all of you, and when I'm saying all of you, I welcome everybody who is in Novosibirsk, who is in Chisinau, who is in Kiev, Kharkiv, and obviously all the people that are here in the room and are also on the screens in the 6 floors that we have here in our Odessa office. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today, and we wanted to have this morning what we call an all-hands, which is the first of many more to come. This is certainly something that we want to have probably every 3 months on a high-level basis, so that basically you will get information about the company, you will probably get information about numbers, how we are doing, what the great projects are doing, and so on and so forth. So this is the aim that we're trying to achieve going forward. For the time being, as you know, we have come together as a team right early, and we're working on strategy. We're working on the goals for the future. We would like to come back to you because we would like to explain to you what we believe the company should be in 5 years' time. And it's not only about strategy, it's also about all the topics that are environmental, there are social, there are governance elements. I mean, some of you have asked about bicycle parking, which tells me that basically, you are interested in environmental. It's fair to say that today it's rather an informal meeting because we thought, given the changes that we are undertaking, we have a reorganization that has been taking place. We have now defined the functions, we have defined the heads, and all of you basically are part of this journey, and this is, I understand, a big change for you. There may be a lot of even insecurity, so not everybody feels probably fine about it. There may be some fears, and that's the reason why we thought, we address to you directly, we give you the opportunity to ask questions, and I have to say I'm very thankful. We have about 50 questions to date, very good questions that show us that basically, you are with the company, you are happy with the company, and the questions that you have been raising are questions that are to me very normal, namely about strategy, about salary, about goals into the future, which is good because this tells us that basically, you are with us. So you understand what we're trying to achieve and what we're trying to achieve together with you for the future. So this is basically the format, if you want, as of today. To be a bit more specific, this team here will have an offsite by the end of November, where we will talk about vision, strategy, and mission statement. And we certainly will come back probably in December with the first glimpse of what we have decided. It's not going to be a final detail, but at least for you to get an understanding of where we as a team believe we will go into the future together with you guys. Because without you, no strategy and no Autodoc. That's very simple. So this is something where we as leaders have to show you our leadership, have to show you our ideas, and we want to take you with us onto the journey to make sure that the company that has been growing like crazy across the last 13 years will continue to grow even more crazy across the next 10, 15 years. Yeah? This is something that I think for us as a team is super important, and we are very committed to it. It's as you can see, a diverse team, and we're also very thankful for having a woman at least on board, which is not always so obvious. But I think we're very diverse in terms of our nationalities, in terms of our ages, and also in terms of our skills, which is very important. So we're not substitutional, we're very complementary, and that is very important to make sure that such a company that we are, which is spread across a lot of countries, with a lot of nationalities, is gonna work as one going forward. I'd like to just have one call out today, which is my friend Jenia. The reason why I'm calling out is, as you know, we have started to say that English is going to be the language in the company. This man, Jenia Shuravlenko, which I met first time obviously in February, March, we were not able to communicate. If I have today anyhow, but if I have my meetings now with Jenia, it's perfect English. So he has shown you, as a leader of the company, that he embraces the idea that basically we need to have one language to be able to communicate with each other. And I'm very thankful for that. I mean, Dima was good in English anyhow, so forget about him. But Jenia, I think, did a big step forward and exited his comfort zone to make sure that basically we can understand each other. Obviously, Lutz is doing the same. I'm a poor guy, I'm too old, I'm not going to learn further languages. I can probably speak to you in French, in Italian, that's fine, but probably Russian is going to be difficult for me going forward. I'm sorry for that. So, with this being said, Dima, Bert, if you want to address some words, feel free. And thank you very much again for your questions. And again, it's going to be more often, and I will be here probably every 2 weeks going forward.
Доброе утро всем. Окей. Да, всем доброе утро, ребят, что у вас отдохнули головы от английского языка, да, чтобы вы могли немножко почувствовать себя в комфортной среде, и потом опять перейти в режим усиленного думания и перевода. В первую очередь хочу вас всех поблагодарить за то, что вы собрались, за то, что вы задали такое большое количество вопросов. Эти вопросы, честно говоря, успокаивают, потому что там не было никаких таких провокационных, сложных вопросов, которые рождают какие-то там сомнения или волнения и так далее. Поэтому спасибо вам большое за то, что все эти годы вы с нами, и за то, что самое главное, вы готовы участвовать в трансформации, в росте компании, в процессе ее взросления. Потому что все, что мы делали до сих пор, мы делали, скажем так, сломя голову, бежали, добились отличных результатов, но теперь нам нужно осознанно, уверенным шагом идти дальше и двигаться в сторону какого-то серьезного будущего, которого добились большие компании в мире, которые называют себя, скажем так, крупными корпорациями. Мы хотим идти туда же, и мы обязательно туда доберемся. Поэтому спасибо вам всем огромное заранее за тот путь, который мы вместе с вами пройдем.
Спасибо, Дима. Я не могу говорить очень хорошо русский. Я учил русский язык в школе 5 лет, и я знал, что я никогда буду нужен русский язык, и сейчас я здесь. It's the same, sorry for switching to English, but it's the same for, as for Christian and for Dima has said. Yes, we are changing to English. It doesn't mean that all of us need to take the effort in order to cross the line and be able to speak the language that is most comfortable in order to have the proper exchange. So I think we have the effort on all sides, and just want to demonstrate also from my perspective that it's important also to learn some Russian.
Thank you very much. And Yashim, now I think you run the show with the questions and obviously
Yes.
our answers that will be given by the team.
Exactly. So we use this tool Slido, and in this tool you can ask questions. We shared the link with you guys, and amazing. I must say I used this tool lots of times in my previous companies to collect questions. This is really amazing. We received 50 questions. The engagement was really good. So 340 people logged in and actually checked out the questions, and we have all in all, what is this? My eyes. 290 likes that we received for the questions. So it's really good. I love the engagement, and next time we will do it even with polls and so on. So obviously, I mean, I can just, to Christian's point, it's like we are very excited about the engagement, and we are very excited that you've shown the interest in asking your questions and trying to get some answers. This just shows that you are caring for the company. So great for me as a people officer. When we look at the questions, we can see the pattern actually. So some of the questions were related to what are our goals, where is the company heading for, what is the strategy. So perfect. And you will get these questions in a minute. And then a lot of questions about salary, compensation, benefits, and so on. That is also great. Some questions about personal development, and then our facilities. I think it wouldn't be wrong to group it like this. So we can see the patterns and the areas where you guys are interested in and where we are seeking to have some answers. So thank you for everybody who sent these questions. We will try to answer all of them if time allows. But I will not read out the questions one by one, but I'd rather do some sort of grouping and ask everybody here in the room some questions from those that you submitted. So Christian, I'd like to start with you. So obviously we are now are we in a transformation?
We clearly,
What does it mean?
well, we are clearly in transformation, and it does mean that basically we are trying to bring the company to the next stage. I think I said this previously to a couple of you guys. With the growth that we are having, we need to change, we need to structure ourselves, because otherwise the growth will play negatively on us. If we want to basically continue to be a super successful company, we need to structurize ourselves, we need to define certain rules to make sure that basically we can continue to push forward.
So our employees are wondering, and I'm just summarizing the questions, they're wondering what are the long-term goals for the company, what is the strategy, and they're wondering in 2022, what are our targets? So what is it that we need to be working, what is our contribution to that? They would like to understand the global goals, like operational, organizational, financial goals. They would like those to be shared with them. They are wondering from business development perspective, is Autodoc going to expand to other countries? Do we have any plans like that? From business development, you already shared with us that you want to have more focus on the B2B areas, but would that mean that you would also enter into other areas like in the fintech area, for example? I mean, do we have any plans like those? And when are we going to be able to receive more detailed description and direction from you guys? These were the questions in summary.
And I like the questions very much because they are very fair questions. I mean, those are questions that we are asking ourselves. And I think I tried already to basically preempt this a bit by saying that the team here will sit down in the second half of November to start to address those questions because they're important for us and they're important also for our communication with you guys. That means that basically we'll set probably 5 to 7 long-term targets. When I'm talking long-term, I talk about 3 to 5 years, which we will then translate probably into OKRs. This is not going to happen, don't get me wrong. This is not going to happen within one day. It's a process again. Yeah, it's a process of 6 to 12 months. But we will come back to you, I hope in December, latest, with a certain first idea of where the company should go to. I think fintech probably is far away from us because we are not in the payment area. One of the things that I'm discussing with Jania is certainly We need to enable everybody everywhere to basically pay however they want. But this is not us becoming a fintech. This is basically us making sure that every customer, being a private customer or being an institutional customer, workshop, whatever, is able to basically buy their stuff with the means that they want to use. And probably going forward, we should also think about introducing, rate payment. So those are the elements that we'll be touching. But I think we'll come back, as I said, in December with a clear vision for the company, with the clear goals, and then obviously together with you guys, with all basically the members of the ELT and the directors, will sit down and detail what it means. And then obviously on the back of this, we will be able to generate what we call OKRs, so objective key results. That means that all the goals should be measurable, so that every function understands what their contribution is to make sure that the goal, the long-term goal, is achieved.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, I would like to invite Alex into this discussion, being responsible for our most potential business, the B2B business. Maybe you can share a little bit more, what is the B2B business, why is it so important for us, and what is your role, and what do you expect from our employees?
Alex, you don't need to hide. Come to us. The jeans is okay. The jeans is okay.
And sorry, one more. I'm just reading. Specifically, in 22, what does it mean for us?
Well, hear me now?
Yeah.
For the B2B, it's simple. The market is split in kind of two categories. It's online, where Autodoc operates right now, which is roughly 10% of the market size. And in Europe, we estimate that our market is 110 billion. So we currently operate at the market which is sized at 10 billion. And B2B project will allow us to enter the remaining 100 billion and become hopefully a noticeable player on that market with your help. Lots of you here, like Christina, already participates in that big project, and hopefully in 2022, the deadline actually is end of March, and we expect to have the first sale in 2022 in France to begin with. But as soon as we sense, and understand that it is proven to be successful, we are ready to scale to other countries. So, does it answer your question?
It does. It does. Because I think this area is very important, and I think it's also important that we are all informed about these developments. Eugene, speaking of business development,
Okay.
we are wondering, okay, sorry. Can you please tell me more? I mean, I'm just trying to summarize the question. In terms of revenue management and expansion, how does this, our strategy so far, I mean, I know it's not defined yet, but specifically in 2022, where do you see the challenges and what are your plans?
So next year we have a lot of challenges because the market changed a lot this year. So this year, to be honest, is a challenge for us, for our company, because this is the most complicated year from all times for our company, and the market changed after COVID situation, and now we need to adapt for this market. Of course, we have a lot of plans, a lot of tasks to do, and a lot of changes in our strategy for the future. And the most you need to understand that we, in 2022, we will work with our customers. It's first of all. Before we worked with the traffic, with conversion, with the sales. But now we need to change a lot of things. So our focus for the next year will be our customers, first of all. And this is the main point for you to know. And the second thing is, I think that there was a question about it, and that we will invest in our brand. So this is our second step, but of course it's not about the revenue, but it's more about our brand. But if our brand will develop, our revenue will develop too. So, but it's more its case, but of course we will do it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, we have just recent changes. It is not a secret. We were preparing for IPO, and then we had some changes. We became AG, And I would like to ask our General Counsel, why did we become AG and what has changed now for us?
Yeah, I would say the biggest change in the company is that our founders are now not in the management board anymore, so they are in the supervisory board. They are supervising Christian, Bert, and Dima, and they check their management skills. And besides of that, I mean, we want to become more international, and a joint stock company has many benefits, yeah, in order to grow internationally. And therefore, I think it's the right step to convert into a joint stock company.
So it's not only related to IPO, do I understand this correctly?
That's correct. I mean, another more legal aspect is probably that it's easy to transfer shares in a joint stock company. You don't need to go to the notary. I mean, obviously, employee retention programs can be planned in a joint stock company. So, this would also be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Christian, what happened to IPO?
If I just may add, and then I will answer. If I just may add also, so the founders are still with us, but they're out of the operating business, which is good. Because I think for them, they decided that they have reached a stage where they cannot help the company anymore. And this is something you rarely find with founders, and that's the reason why they have such a high esteem and why I have such a high respect for them. Not a lot of founders are able to pick such a decision, which is a difficult decision. So I think this is very important to understand. The second thing is, it allowed us also on the supervisory board level, as you may have seen or may have heard, to have introduced people that basically can help us also with their contacts, with their knowledge, with their competencies. And this is something that also goes back to the AG. Now we have built a supervisory board where you have the founders, but you have a lot of other people, in this case even a lot of female, supporting us in marketing, in automotive, in finance and so on. This is very good, and this helps us as a company to continue to grow. In terms of the IPO, I think it's very simple. When we basically had to take a decision whether we go IPO or not, the market was like this, and when a market is like this, the danger of failure is very big, and we don't want to have a failure at Autodoc. Sometimes it may happen, but if basically you're seeing that it can go wrong, you just avoid it. That was one thing. And the second thing I think it's fair to say, and Jenny reflected is that our revenues in August and September, and even now in October, were very low compared to what we had projected. And so if you would have gone to the market and would have basically had to reduce our forecast immediately, this would have meant to the share price a dip, very, very strongly. And that's the reason why we decided to postpone, and IPO is the option, and this is certainly also something that the founders have clearly told me, that the IPO is their long-term goal. Whether long-term means in 3 months' time or in 2 years' time, we will see. But we now first to get basically our revenue and the market in which we're operating under control. And if we're so, then we can come back.
May I just from a finance perspective, and I think it's important to mention that the company, as you know, has been very successful in terms of growing, but also in terms of profitability in the past and now, and that we can fund the initiatives that we have in terms of further growth and further expansion out of our own. Yeah, and this is a very comfortable situation. So we were in no position in terms of depending on going public or being a listed company. This is an option that we have on the table, and we will consider it once there's the right time and the right place to do that. Currently, we don't feel comfortable in doing so.
Well, Bert, we are wondering, as a CFO, how can we say, are we a successful company?
Looking at our history, I just mentioned it, in terms of growth and in terms of profitability, it's a very successful story that we have seen. What happens also is that the ambition level is rising. Yeah, so the expectation is that we are delivering going forward, of course, on the same scale. And this means that we need to check, as Christian mentioned before, the fundamentals, if they are stable in order to do the same scale in a bigger volume going forward. Yeah, this is why we're exploring different options and expanding. And we're always looking at on the growth in terms of top line and on the profitability, especially from an operational perspective. Of course, there will be periods going forward where we'll have higher investments as well, but we're taking into consideration that the operational business is the core, and this needs to work going forward as well.
So as a CFO, you can say, approaching year-end, are you proud of us? Should we be proud of ourselves?
I am very proud of the organization. So congratulations.
So since I have you here, we are wondering about, I mean, we had some, now we're entering the busy season with delivery, and we had some hiccups in the past, exactly in the same period of the season, and we are wondering, so how can we speed up delivery? And we have currently some issues. Can you please address these, and what are the plans here? Because actually we should have Sven Hermann here with us. He is our SVP for Supply Chain Management. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us. This is why I have to direct the question to you.
No, that's fine. It's part of my responsibility, so I'm happy to answer on that. First of all, and there have been many questions asked around shipment time, delivery time. I think the most important thing is by raising this question, it just shows exactly on how you are thinking and we are thinking that the customer and the customer promise is in the center of our work. Yeah, so I really like the question. It is highly appreciated. It's been raised directly to me also before, so it's not a new one. And I think important is the first step to admit that there's a challenge that we're having. Yeah, so the customer feedback on the one hand side is the one thing, but I think for ourselves internally realizing that we have a delivery time challenge, and also and trickle it down to a supplier delivery, the lead time within the warehouse, and then also the shipping to the customer are those aspects that we need to have a look on in more detail. So this having said, first, unfortunately, there are no easy answers or no quick solutions to the delivery challenge. There would be two obvious ones, yeah, to put more inventory to our warehouses, so that's already there and then available for delivery. That would speed up the delivery. It would implicate a lot of costs involving. First of all, we don't have the warehouse capacities, and you're not building, or we are currently building new warehouse and distribution centers, and you can think about a lead time on developing a new warehouse and really get it ongoing and productive, about 12 to 18 months, starting from the construction. And for a distribution center, it's even longer. Yeah, so now we're talking about 24 months until we are operational. For the warehouse in Head, for example. So we need to think about the lead time on developing our capacities in terms of the warehouse going forward. That's one way of improving the deliveries. The other one is obviously the direct shipment. The direct shipment from our suppliers or distributors to the customer that would speed up. And we know that in that process we are not fully in control. Yeah, we are never holding the merchandise in our hands. So there is additional challenge in terms of data exchange. There are more people, more parties involved that need to be managed. So give me a second.
Downstairs.
So we have some noise issues in case you don't hear it. Just give us a second to resolve it for you.
I thought it comes from you guys.
Yes, we're working on canteen opening.
Fixing the cantina.
So I was just stopping a moment for describing, and sorry for taking a little bit more time, but I think it's an important topic, and the question is being raised not only once, but a few times, and just want to give you a little bit of a picture of how complex it is. So the option of getting more stock into the warehouse, and the other one is direct shipment. And then there's a third way of looking at it and thinking about what are we actually promising our customers? How do we measure what we are promising to our customers? So when you're going to our website or into the app and you're ordering, there's no promise in the first place. So we're not telling you when we are delivering. So we need to think about how do we define our promise in order to measure how we are delivering against it so that we can improve by setting expectations and looking when we meet expectation or not. Just giving you a simple example, one customer, for example, or one category of customer, car enthusiasts, they're repairing their cars oftentimes on the weekend. So for them, it might not matter if they are getting the delivery on a Monday or on a Tuesday, but it's important that the delivery is being done on a Friday. And they are upset if it's not coming on the Friday, but it's coming on the Monday, because then they are losing the weekend in order to repair it. But by that, you already see that sometimes the delivery time depends on really when to make the promise or to what time the delivery should happen in exact date and not just by +5 or +2. So we need to go a little bit more into the details, and as I mentioned before, there are different stages that we can improve on, that we need to improve on, but there's no easy solution. Having said it one more time, thank you.
Thank you, Bert. Thank you, Bert. This is really important, and we are genuinely interested in this subject because supply chain management is our bread and butter. That's what pays our salaries. It has to work properly, and everybody is, of course, supportive for any solution. So, thank you. So, now the exciting part. We received quite a lot of questions about salaries, benefits, compensation, and so on in general. So, let me try to...
Can you help us there? Can you help us?
You want to increase?
No, we don't know. I mean, we will see. But I think, are you well placed to answer those questions? I guess so, no? So around compensation.
I think I am. If I'm not, please jump and support me here. So, you know, I mean, the company is going through a transformation. So is the people organization. We are currently, we defined a lot of projects, and basically our approach here is to digitalize the whole people function. Bring in new tools. You probably have heard that we are now going through a Workday implementation. So this would mean you would be able to follow all people processes from your mobile phones, and we will have a proper organizational structure. All processes will be identified and so on. So, and we will bring in also more tools into the ecosystem, our technology ecosystem. So we are looking into a full integrated technology platform for the people organization. It will speed up all internal processes. So that's the aim. It will continue for the next year. But that is the technology part, that is the basis. On top of it, we will introduce new processes, new policies, new practices for the people function. So, of course, it's also related to compensation. Now we are we are at the edge, and we are about to start a project about defining a new job evaluation structure. So we will have new jobs defined according to our current organizational global matrix organizational setup. We will define the roles. We will put explicit skills and competence definitions for each of our stages, and that will be our basis that we will use for career development, for internal transfers to other positions, and for compensation. When we have this new structure in place, and that is going to be sometime end of the year, we will compare ourselves with the market, because we need to have a proper structure so that we can compare ourselves in terms of salaries and benefits with what other companies are paying in the markets in our countries. This is like, you have to think about this like you define your jobs. For example, you say a DevOps engineer, and you look at the market, how the market is paying for this DevOps engineer. But first of all, you need to have a proper description in order for you to compare yourself in the market. So currently we are doing this, but we are not doing it in a proper way. So now we are addressing this issue. We will have a new structure, a new architecture in place. And once we have that in place and we can compare ourselves more healthier according to market data, we are planning to review our salaries, because there were lots of questions about, are we going to have a salary review? We will have a salary review, but that will be in light of the new architecture and according to the new benchmark practice that we will have at year end, and probably we will run the process in Q1 of next year. So stay tuned, you will hear more of this. Probably, I mean, considering all the new changes we are doing in the people function, maybe we would have one town hall only talking about people, because there's lots of things ongoing. When we do this, when we compare ourselves to the market, we also work on our strategy. So how is Autodoc incentivizing their employees? Are we paying below the market? Are we paying at market or above the market? So all those strategies will also be defined. And we will exactly know how we are standing and where we need to do adjustments. So this is still coming, so you need to wait for that. And it will also cover the benefits. So what are our competitors providing as benefits, and what are we providing? But I can tell you now that for benefits, we are not really a big fan of benefits. We like to keep it simple. We'd rather have like a limited number of benefits, but rather pay more competitive salaries. So this is how we are standing currently. But when we come at that level, we will look into this and we will define our strategies. Everything will be transparent. It will be shared with you. So that is compensation, salaries and benefits. There were a few questions about talent acquisition, our hiring needs. We have quite a lot of vacancies. Some of those are critical. Now we are addressing all of these more in a detailed way. And for those critical vacancies that we have, we are looking into different sourcing areas, and we are looking into solutions how we can speed up those open vacancies. So we have already addressed it. That was the answer to the question. I received also questions about organization. So you know, now we have implemented a new organizational structure. It is transparent, and Saba has already been updated according to the new structure. There were some questions if we could have it more leaner by combining some roles. I believe this is, I mean, we did, like, I don't know, I think we worked like 3 months on the organizational structure, and this is what has been identified. But the organization is it's an enabling model how we are working. Depending on the company priorities and the organizational changes in the structure, there will always be changes. I mean, now we defined this, but going forward, maybe we will say, you know what, this doesn't work, and we will change it. It's a living mechanism that we have there, so nothing is written on stone. Our leaders are constantly looking. Now we implanted this, but then they will say, it goes well, I did the right structure, or maybe they will discuss with their teams and they will combine or split some roles, so this can always happen. So I hope I answered all the questions.
And let me just add, I think, I mean, what Yashim was saying around compensation is super important to us, because the way this company is run is about talent. And the way you attract talent is brand, compensation, communication, and cooperation. And I think we need to make sure that all of those 4 pillars are well defined and well basically executed on. And I think Yashim has, in the short period she has been here with the team, done already a marvelous job to get all those things together. And I think we're trying to be as transparent as we can, and we'll continue to be so, because we want you, as I said, to be with us on the journey. And we are more than happy to continue to address all the questions around compensation, salary, and benefits. And as Yashim was saying, we want to keep it simple, but we want to make sure that basically we're competitive against, you know, the market.
Exactly. Great. Cool. So I have one more area under my responsibility, which is real estate and facility management. So there were also quite interesting questions coming related to this area. But then I was thinking, I don't want to be the only person talking about these things, and I asked help from Dima.
The CTO is best place to do so.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Dima, facilities. There's quite a lot of activities ongoing here, especially in this region, with our three locations here in Odessa, in Kharkiv, in Novosibirsk, in Chisinau. What is going on?
So, as you may already know, we are building new facilities, yeah, and we are trying to make the best from us to bring the best locations for you. So, the next step of our plan is to launch our facility in Chisinau. I think that it will be launched about end of spring or up to middle of the summer. So in the middle of the summer, I think that all the employees from Chisinau will be moving to this new building. I really hope so, and I think that it is quite real. Also, we had numerous questions regarding canteen. So, as you may know, the Chief Technology Officer is a great responsibility, and for canteen as well.
You are in corporate.
No, I'm not responsible for the canteen, but I have some insights from the HR. Yeah, that now we are in the middle of the tendering process with different companies, catering companies from Odessa, and we are trying to define the best option for us. And as well, after we will define the best cook in Odessa for us, we will define the budget per person. But we need to say that, first of all, this process should be centralized for all the locations. Not only in Odessa, people are hungry during the lunch, but in many other locations they also want something to eat and something to drink. So this will be common for all our locations, but we will try with Odessa first. It will be the first step. We will try to implement this project here. We will need your feedback, of course. So, and then we will know how to do it in other locations as well. I think that by the end of the year, we will have a plan for continuous starting, and for everything will be prepared here for us. Also, we had some questions regarding the bike parking near that building. To say honest, I really have a plan, the ready-to-use plan from our architects, and we just need all the allowances from the city. I don't know, city gods or tsars or kings to allow us to make parking here, because this pedestrian zone, as you may know, and there are some people whom we call activists, which don't like all the stuff here near the building and the building itself as well. So we have to manage this issue, and the parking will be right there behind that wall. Yeah, so according to the architecture plan. Regarding, you had also one important question regarding the parking in city center. I don't really know for what city does it relate, to Chisinau or for Odessa, but the problem is pretty the same. The first thing to say that we were trying to select the best location for the building itself. So it could be accessible, comfortable for everyone to use in the good place of the city, etc. And yes, we know there is a problem that there is no parking in the city centers in any city, let's say. Yeah. So I don't think that for now this is we have any opportunity to advise or to offer anything to our employees. But if we will have any options, for example, if we will have an option to I don't know, to find the parking in nearest buildings or areas, we will try to negotiate, and we will try to bring it to the company as well. But for now, to say honest, we don't have a solution for city center parking problem. This is not only about us. It's about all people who are in the city center.
Yeah, it's out of our control.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you have any more questions regarding the facilities. But I had one more question on one of the papers we have here regarding the having more powerful computers in call center. Yeah, I think that this is a really important question, and it is a good one, because historically we have, let's say, approved configuration for each machines that we operate in Autodoc in all the locations. And time is changing, of course, and we have to have an upgrades somehow. So I think that by the end of the year we will have a procurement plan for the next year, where we will choose the appropriate hardware configurations for the newcomers and for those people who lacking some power from their workspaces and workplaces. And we will try to change to roll up the equipment and to bring more power to your workplaces as well. Okay?
That is good. Thank you. So, we had a few questions around culture. I would like to ask you a question. So, I'm reading the question. So, what are you planning? What are the steps to strengthen the corporate spirit, the culture? And how are you seeing now? I mean, lots of things are ongoing at the ELT level. You just mentioned that we will have a strategy workshop defining vision, mission, company goals will be set, and so on and so forth, and lots of things are ongoing. So how will our employees be informed about all of this?
Thank you very much for the question that basically was raised on this, and thank you also very much, you, Yashim, because I think culture and climate is all about communication. If basically people don't know what we're doing, the culture will be bad and the climate will be even worse. It is up to us, and it's something that we're discussing constantly, and I think today is probably a first, even if it's a small step, but it's a step, to basically get you again onto the journey. I think we need to make sure that basically going forward, in the functions, at the top level of the company, we basically make you aware of what we're doing, of big projects. So like, you know, Jenia is doing a big pricing project. You need to understand why we're doing it, and you should be aware of the outcome. It's not about the detail, but you should be aware of those things, so that basically you understand. Or if basically with DIMA we are probably thinking about totally different technology in terms of, you know, AWS and so on. So those are the things where we need to basically give you a certain understanding of why we're doing it, and also keep you informed about the outcome. And I think Yashim and the HR team is developing a lot of ideas of how we make sure that basically the information flow is coming through. This is basically when we're talking about the work. I think what I have seen at Autodoc so far in terms of events, of this socializing idea, there's a lot of good things going on. And we need to basically keep those. We need to see basically which of them make more sense than others, because it's not only about probably drinking and partying, it's also about, you know, getting together. But I think that basically also on that topic, there's a lot of good ideas around, and I think we need to continue to work on those to make sure that basically you and we are happy.
So, are you planning to go to other locations as well, Chisinau, for example?
Well, I've been to Chisinau already in July.
July or June?
July or June, so Chisinau is certainly a place where I will go back. We have already let Alex know that we want to go to Novosibirsk. Obviously, it's not so easy for a European to travel to Russia. You know, you need visas and you need da. So probably by the time when we can join him, it's going to be minus 40 degrees, but anyhow. So it's probably going to be, you know, January when the sun is not even going up and not coming down. But I'm clearly committed. The same is also, as I said, you're seeing me now more often here, and I will be more often here. And obviously, it's a bit also depending on, let's say, the importance of the different locations. But I'm more than happy to be everywhere, because it's part of my job to travel, and it's part of my job to talk to you directly, not just, you know, via the screen and so on and so forth. So I'm a person you can approach at any point in time.
Cool. We actually had a question about Odessa as well. The question was, do you like Odessa? Lutz, do you like Odessa?
I think I can speak for everybody. Yes, we do. We love Odessa.
But to be a bit more specific, what I really like on Odessa is the food. The food is great here. So not only about the Ukrainian food, which we can go here, the kumanet.
No, the present here.
So, so Dima has not brought me to a special Ukrainian restaurant, but the fish here is very good. So the food is great. The city is a wonderful city. The problem is, it has a very good substance, but unfortunately, a lot of things are worn down. So it has, you have this French architecture, which is wonderful because you have high ceilings. The problem is, a lot of people let just everything fall apart. That's my view on Odessa. But otherwise, it's a wonderful city with wonderful young people.
So actually, we just received new questions. And the first one is really interesting. Are there any environmental programs planned to improve the company's image? Cool question.
So the reason why I was trying to give the mic to Lutz is, Lutz is in his function for PR also responsible for what you call ESG. ESG stands for environmental, social and governance. And what we are doing also is we have a separate project that is already working, where we're trying to define where can we as a company be more sustainable. It goes to Bert and Sven around packaging. It's about the logistics. Can we avoid, the triangle? Can we ship the stuff directly from the supplier to the customer? So those are the things that basically we're thinking of. Obviously, there are also all the elements that are also fitted to the facility. So can we reduce the amount of heating by using this or that? So those are all things that we're thinking about and that we basically have started to work on. Sorry. On this?
No, it's okay. Sorry. I was just looking at the new questions because some of them are really good. We had a question about the New Year party. Are we going to have a party at our premises? Should I answer this? So we were planning to have a Christmas New Year party at our locations, and we already started the preparations for this. But again, this is something that is not in our control. So we really don't know what will be the COVID situation in December. So it might be that we will cancel these parties completely, or maybe and it also depends, it's not a global decision, also per country there might be some regulations where they say it's not allowed to have, even if we plan it outdoors, maybe it will not be allowed. So we are working on this and we will inform you about this. We really don't know right now whether there will be a party at year-end or not. Yeah?
Nothing to add. I mean, Corona has not been made by ourselves. It's something that basically, you are aware it's partially difficult to get in restaurants here if you're not basically able to show vaccination and so on. So we need to be mindful as an employer, also with you guys, how we can deal with it. So if we were going to make something, it's probably going to be rather internal than external. So we're probably not going to rent, party area and so on. So it's going to happen here. And obviously, Irina and Moritz, together with Yashim, are also working on this topic to make sure that basically we pick the right decision. And as Yashim was saying, every country has its specific requirements.
Yeah. So we received a couple of more questions about supply chain management. I think we need to have maybe after, also when Sven is on board, you can address this now, and I think going forward we might have maybe some session only on supply chain management, because it's really very important. Maybe we can dig more into the details there. One other thing that we will not, probably we will have also another session just focusing on the HR area, personal development, and so on and so forth, so that we did not answer all the questions. But maybe you want to say a couple of things about the supply chain related questions?
Sure. So there's a concrete question to the warehouse M13. So to the ones who are not so much familiar with the different warehouses that we are having, M13 is our first warehouse where we have the first level of automation. So we're talking about a semi-automation. When we were entering into the project, and it was a little bit before my time, but when we were entering into a project, we were facing a lot of challenges in terms of setting it up for the first time, not having the knowledge internally in order to do it properly. And now we're seeing by running it that it's not running to the stage as we were hoping to do. And this question actually refers exactly to this, and what are we planning to do against it, and how to improve it. So there are just within the architecture of the building, with the setup of the processes that we're having, that are not all defined by the warehouse operations itself, we still see a lot of potential in order to improve it, and we will work on that. But more importantly, we need to improve in the planning process from one distribution center to the next to be better, have more knowledge on board, so that once we are running the warehouses, and also to give you a picture, we are running warehouses then 10 to 12 years at least, then we're making sure that we have thought of everything before we're starting actually building it. Yeah, so.
Thank you. So, one area that we haven't addressed was employment contracts, and now received some more questions around those as well, and that is basically a situation we have here in Ukraine. We have regular employment and we have private entrepreneurs. And the question is, what are we going to do with this? So currently we have this structure and we keep the structure, but of course there are always movement from private entrepreneur to regular employment and so on. We are bound to certain regulations, especially working in the EU, and it's basically related to GDPR and data privacy. So for some roles we have to have regular employment. We are looking into these, and there might be some changes, but we are not seeing this as like we're moving everybody to regular employment. I think the system works very well, and for now there is no big changes planned. One question here is that since the C-level is often the bearer of corporate culture, the question is, what kind of corporate culture are we going to build? And actually you addressed it a little bit, Christian. What kind of culture we want to build. This is like, it's not the C-level defining the corporate culture. It's not we're sitting together in one room and say, this is now how our culture is, this is not how it works. Of course, it's like we would like to involve as much as people as possible, but this group would trigger the process. And they are actually also the owner of the process, but it's at the end the company culture. It's not the C-level culture that we will build. We will share more information about you guys on this, and we will involve also as much as possible individuals from different organizations at different levels. You want to say something?
Yeah, let me just add to it. One of the things that when I met the founders, and it took us about 16 to 17 months until I joined, because I wanted to understand, I wanted to see basically, is the fit there and so on and so forth. I think one of the things that I admire is basically the culture that has been built across the last 13 years, because with that culture, only the success that we have has been possible. Now, for us, and together with you, is now defining the culture into the future, preserving the good things of the past and of the present, but thinking of what do we need else to basically make sure that we're successful into the future. So again, the culture that I've found here since 1st of February of this year, since the day I've been joining, I admire and I like, but one thing is also very clear, we need to evolve this culture, because if we stand still, the company is going to stand still and we're going to go dipping.
May I just add, one important point is obviously that the tone from the top makes a difference. Yeah, so we are holding ourselves also accountable for making sure that the way we're communicating, the way we're thinking, the way we are also, and Eugene mentioned it, we want to give certain responsibilities into the organization, because we don't want to take all the decisions by ourselves, because oftentimes we are not close enough to the process or to the project itself, so we want to enable you. But we, of course, want to have and find the right tone of words to communicate that problem.
Thank you.
I have one more question to the supply chain. So
okay.
This refers to a cooperation with Amazon. So Amazon, as all of you know, I'm sure, is the perfect example of being extremely well organized in supply chain. You could say that Amazon, one of the USPs of Amazon is the delivery and the way we are doing it, and in order to fulfill the customer. I believe at this stage we are not at that level, that we would say that our delivery to our customers is our USP. Yeah, we have USPs, the way we're addressing our customers, the way they can find products, the wideness of assortment, the pricing. So there are a lot of elements within the customer journey that differentiates us from our competitors. On the delivery, we are at that stage where we need to focus on building the basics first before we are going to the stage that we are thinking about, okay, how can we improve our delivery to make it even better than the competitors.
Okay, good. I think we are approaching almost the end, or we are at the end. There are a few questions we couldn't answer. I mean, I see there are questions, can we buy shares from Autodoc? I mean, this is of course, when we are public, of course we can buy, but you already answered that, so we don't know which path we will go. And there are some other questions as well, of course, and we couldn't just answer all of these questions, but I think this is a great start. I'm super happy we have received these. It's really good to have this connection. So we will repeat these, and please continue to share your questions. It gives us also light to understand where we need to focus. So big thank you.
Well, if I may, okay. So thank you very much for being here in the room, obviously participating. Thank you very much for everybody who was on the screens and has been listening. Thank you very much indeed again for all the questions. And I think, you know, the tonality of the questions and the sense of the questions show that we are a team, which is great. You know, people are starting to think about, okay, what is the future? What is the company looking like? And this is something which I think is a very, very positive element, which I'm taking out of today. And again, thank you very much. And you can count on us that basically this format will be the format for the future, whether it's going to be just a functional one or whether we do it as a, let's say, ELT update. That's a definition it will take, but this is certainly something that we will use to basically make sure that you are informed about the things that are going on. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much to the team for being here with us. Obviously, next time we'll try to also bring Sven over and a couple of others. And yeah, thanks.
Bye.
And thanks to the organizers.